Hello everyone, I'm Akanksha from Section D. The topic I chose from Indian economy is nationalization of banks. Like nationalization of banks has altered the Indian economy, India's banking system, right? So what is nationalization of banks? Like at that time of India's independence, all the country's major banks were privately led, and which was a concern of rural India because they had no choice but to rely on the money lenders and merchants. To address this issue, government had decided to nationalize the banks. According to the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, RBI was also nationalized in 1949. So let us discuss the reasons for nationalization of banks. Like these are some of the reasons. First is to boost the private sectors. Like banks were collapsing at an alarming rate. Like equating it to approximately like 40 banks yearly were collapsing. So because of this, customers' deposits were also forfeited and they could not be recovered. And also to assist the agricultural sector. Banks favor big industries and businesses while ignoring the rural sector. So nationalization was accompanied by a promise to support the agricultural sector. Third is to grow India's banking network. Like nationalization facilitated the establishment of new bank branches, ensuring that banks are well represented throughout the country. Fourth is to mobilize individual savings. Like nationalizing the banks would give people more access to the bank accounts and encourage them to save money, bringing more revenue to the economy. So, for last reason is the economic and political factors. Like the two wars in 1962 and 1965 wrecked the economy of India. Nationalization of banks would boost the economy by increasing the deposits. Let's come to the criticism part of nationalization of the banks. One major challenge was socio-economic challenge. Like banks were unable to provide adequate support to eradicate poverty. Like this was especially noticeable in the rural India. The other is private bank competition. Despite government supported and increased the impetus from increased deposits, public sector banks never able to outperform the private sector banks in terms of its performance. The last is the failure to achieve financial inclusion. Like, despite the fact that financial inclusion was a primary goal of nationalization of banks, it was accomplished only to a limited extent after the government campaign called Jan Dhan Yojana. So, was nationalization of banks a right move in India? Um, let's see. Like nationalization of banks led to an interest rate structure that was incredibly complex. There were different interest rates on different types of loans. Like the Indian Central Bank has eventually ended up managing hundreds of loans, hundreds of interest rates. This defeated the purpose of nationalization as due to the complex loan structure never reached the needy ones. Like banking is a highly competitive enterprise which works on profits. Nationalization of banks had led to lesser competition between public sector and private sector banks. Like this has created a bureaucratic attitude in the functioning of banking system, and also the lack of responsibility and initiative, red tapism, inordinate delays are common features of nationalized banks. So I think nationalization of banks was a right move to reach the rural India, but it was not achieved completely. Like they eventually ended up with hundreds of different eventually ended up managing hundreds of different interests. Thank you.